It is 8:23 on Global News Morning. We've all been there where we're frustrated with a company over a lack of service or a frustrating shopping experience. So what do you do? Well, with more, we're happy to be joined by mommy blogger Tennille LaFontaine with tips on how to make sure the brand is getting, they're hearing you.
Right.
For lack of saying, getting tongue-tied there. Moving right along, it's changed in the last 10 years, right? We might have picked up the phone call, but now people go right online.
Yeah, you know, like 10, 20 years ago, you wrote a letter to the editor, you picked up the phone and called that 1-800 number on the back of your package of Pampers, or you wrote a letter and you waited for a response. But now, because of social media, you have brands, corporations, CEOs, and bosses right there accessible to you, the consumer. And that's the whole point of social media, of course, is to be engaging. So these brands are online and they want to engage with customers. They may not necessarily like what customers are saying, but they want to engage. So as a consumer, this is your opportunity to take that concern you have and use it on social media and actually access the brands immediately.
All right, so first step, let's say you're frustrated, you want to just go on there and type away, but you're saying hold off just a little.
Step back a little bit. Giving it 24 hours is great because I know if you have a frustrating shopping experience, you're really mad, you're likely to kind of pound out something quick on Twitter and say something that you may regret later. So I always advise, give yourself a little bit of time. If you can't wait 24 hours, at least a couple-hour cool down period. Then when you go on social media, Twitter is the most accessible I find for brands because it's quite immediate. Determine two things. What is your complaint? What is the resolution that you're looking for? Spouting off and kind of, being really, really mad and stating everything that happened to you that day when your luggage was lost, etc. That's great, but that's not what the brand needs to know what the concern is and how can they help you. So what is it you're looking for in return for this complaint?
And you don't want to be a jerk.
You don't want to be a jerk. So when you're on social media, consider if you were going to a store to the returns counter or you have a big beef with a store and you go to the counter, would you on the loudspeaker of that store spout off and say the things that you may say on social media? No,
Probably
so
not.
consider that. You're on an intercom of sorts. So be careful about what you're saying. And as with anything, you're going to get a better response with honey than with vinegar.
Right, absolutely.
So, I mean, I know you're mad and I've been there too. That's why feisty is in my brand and my name, right? So you need to be careful, of course, but be polite, try and get your message across, and you're going to get further with a brand when you're being a good person.
Absolutely. Let's say you do reach out and it's not necessarily going the way you want. What's that next step?
As with anything, you can always go higher up the chain. So if you're working with somebody on Twitter and you're not getting the resolution you're looking for, maybe you take it offline and you're having an email conversation, you can always say, can I speak to your manager? Can I speak to somebody higher up that maybe can help me more than you can? Because remember, these are customer service agents a lot of the time, or someone hired in social media to do that job. They have limitations too, but if you're not getting the resolution you're looking for, again, let's use that example of that lost luggage, you can always say, can I speak to somebody higher up?
And last but certainly not least, we often go online and want to complain to companies when things aren't going well, but it's also important to point it out when it is going well.
Absolutely, and that's a great thing to have social media for, of course. Like we said at the beginning, brands are there because they want to engage with consumers. So of course they want to hear when they're doing a great job. And if you have great customer service, you have even a great salesperson. A lot of times if I have a good experience, I'll say, can I get your name? Because I want to take that to social media and I want to highlight that for that brand, for that boss, for that CEO that, hey, Terry did a great job today.
Gee, thanks.
You're welcome.
So appreciate it. There you have it. 5 tips to make sure that when you have that frustrating experience, you get the most from the company and get that experience turned around. Thanks to Tennille, as always, for coming in. You can find her on Feisty, Frugal, and Fabulous.com, as well as on Facebook and on Twitter. Thanks, Tennille.
You're welcome.